What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. Now, if there's one title that embodies what the Attitude Era was all about, it'd definitely be the Light Heavyweight Championship. Oh, am I kidding? It's the Hardcore title. The title's history was filled with violence, shocking moments, entertaining matches, and all-around chaos. It gave the lower card stars that weren't challenging for the IC or European Championship something to do, like the Mean Street Posse, Test, Kai and Tai. It was an opportunity for them to show what they were made of. The title wasn't seen as being prestigious, but it was filled with such memorable moments that can't be understated. It's not like the most valuable title in the WWF. As a matter of fact, it's the second least valuable title after the Light Heavyweight Championship in my eyes. Now, before this video starts, I have to acknowledge a thing that has to do with the belt. Many believe that the Hardcore title was remnants of that WWF title, Mr. Perfect smashed with the hammer back in 1990. This conspiracy theory of sorts was somewhat credible when you look back on it. It did look like it had some pieces of the other belt, but it was debunked a couple of years ago by a user on Reddit when he claimed to have the same pieces of that smashed title in his collection. Anyways, let's get into it. The Hardcore Championship. On the November 2nd, 1998 episode of Raw, The War Zone, Mr. McMahon, in an effort to keep Mankind away from Ken Shamrock's match with The Rock, decided to hand him a present. The present, well, you already know, it was the Hardcore Championship. Now, in Mankind's eyes, it meant the entire world for him. For Vince, well, it was nothing, a piece of trash. Well, since Mankind was a gullible idiot, this worked out very well for him. With the title in his possession, Mankind underwent a major transformation to fit in line with McMahon's corporate image. Unfortunately, though, for him, he was played and he became a babyface afterwards. What this meant was McMahon wanted to inflict any type of distress on Foley, including taking away that Hardcore belt, and that's exactly what happened on the November 30th episode of Raw when the Big Boss Man captured the title in a ladder match. Boss Man mostly held the title as a prop throughout December as he was more focused on keeping the tag titles, but then he had his first title defense against the Road Dogg. Both men took a trip through the arena, they bounced each other's heads off walls, Boss Man was choking the life out of the Road Dogg, and to top it all off, Mankind from out of nowhere whacks Boss Man with a foreign object, nets him, and helps the Road Dogg capture the title. Okay, from here on, the title defenses started to get crazy. Road Dogg made the most out of the match stipulations, and he was a fighting Hardcore champion. He wrestled Al Snow in the damn snow. The match itself, regardless, was fun as hell, but the aesthetics make it pretty damn unique. They went out there killing each other with pile drivers. It was fun to see. His match against Gangrel was once again awesome. Every time the fans saw Road Dogg, there was an expectation that maybe, just maybe, it was going to be wild. Road Dogg had that hardcore attitude even when his match wasn't for the title, as you could see here. Unfortunately, though, as good as the champion Road Dogg was, he suffered an injury in February of 1999, and he was forced to relinquish the belt. This opened the door for Bob Holly and Al Snow, who the week before the damn pay-per-view faced either John Cena or himself in a Hardcore match. His job squad partner Bob Holly tried to talk some sense into him, but it clearly didn't work. As for their match at St. Valentine's Day Massacre, memorable. Both men fought to the outside and into the Mississippi River. Like, to think they would do all of this for a broken, ugly title, well, it meant more money and it meant more respect, so yes, it's worth it. It makes sense that they would hold that belt. Bob Holly ended up winning the title and he started to call himself Hardcore Holly. All of a sudden, Vince Russo had a bright idea. He believed it was a great idea to swap the Outlaws' positions on the card. Road Dogg, upon his return, didn't go after the Hardcore title he never lost, but the Intercontinental Championship that Billy Gunn was seeking along with Ryan Shamrock. And then it makes sense because both of their interests were elsewhere. The title reign Billy Gunn had was short-lived and Hardcore recaptured the title in a decent triple threat at WrestleMania 15. The title turned Bob into this take-no-crap guy that just wanted to kick ass. He had such a short temper. Al Snow continued to seek the title. He cost Dr. Death Steve Williams and D'Lo Brown the gold for some unknown reasons. It was probably because he wanted Hardcore himself, and when he did receive his title match at Backlash, he made the most out of it by blasting Holly with head to capture the Hardcore Championship. But for some weird reason, Snow's first title defense wasn't against Hardcore, it was actually against Head. Now, why was he doing this? I don't know. He was a lunatic. He believed Head was the rightful champion, not him. So in an effort to get a title shot, Hardcore Holly convinced Al that the Hardcore Committee made this match official. Head versus Al Snow for the Hardcore Championship. The official champion was obviously Al, but Hardcore had to manipulate him in order to get his title shot. About the match itself, Snow bounced around the mannequin to win the title that he was already in possession of. Despite the victory, he hit another moonsault through the table for no apparent reason. As for Holly, he failed to win the title and he moved elsewhere on the card. Snow continued holding the gold for 2 months before losing it to the Big Boss Man at Fully Loaded. They played hot potato with the belt for a bit before the story got personal. On the August 23rd, 1999 episode of Raw, the Big Boss Man stole Al Snow's dog, Pepper. The champion started to go crazy as his dog was missing, head was gone, and his replacement pet was also not there for him. It was Pepper, by the way. Snow started to lose what's left of his train of thought. Bossman refused to give him back, but he did, however, assure him that Pepper is safe and he'll eventually give him back at a hotel. Bossman believed that the dog didn't deserve to be around the wrestling business because it's too dangerous. So on that week's SmackDown, Bossman was gracious enough to treat Al Snow like a guest at the hotel. At this point, Bossman was already the champion, and there wasn't any logical reason for him to do this. He didn't really have to do any of this. Snow was pretty impatient, but Bossman insisted he eat the food he got him. So Snow's eating. He thought the food tasted good when Bossman warned him not to catch a paw. And he realized what went on. He ate Pepper. Snow began puking. Bossman assaulted him, and damn was he heartless. Like, he already had the title. Snow put so much effort into trying to find Pepper. He gave out his phone number, actually Val Venus's, and now his dog's gone. Bossman, a 99, most underrated Attitude Era heel. I'm willing to die on a hill for that. Like, I'm telling you, the stuff he did was so damn heartless. The British Bulldog, though, was gracious enough to win the title from Bossman and give it to Al Snow. The feud between Al Snow and Big Boss Man came to a head at Unforgiven inside a kennel from hell. I honestly don't know what the hell this was. Imagine having to pay like $30 to watch this pay-per-view and the match is on. Those damn Rottweilers didn't do their jobs. They banged, they pissed around, and it made for a cluster of epic proportions. The dogs were too busy barking at one another, and had they never been there, maybe, just maybe, it would have been better. Al Snow won the match to retain the gold, and the match itself, well, it's in the upper echelon of pro wrestling. It could have been better, but what we got was nothing short of extravagant, pure enjoyment. Unfortunately for Snow, Bossman reclaimed the title, and he held it throughout the rest of 1999. His first title match in the year of 2000 was against Test, and he lost. He drove the damn nightstick into Bossman's abdomen to capture the gold. Unfortunately, though, his title reign in itself wasn't really memorable, but the next guy's certainly was. On the February 24th, 2000 episode of SmackDown, Test defended the Hardcore title against Crash Holly. Now, on paper, you look at these two, you'd say, Test wins. Crash was confident enough to challenge Test. Why? Well, he wanted to prove that he's more hardcore than Bob's ever been. He even shoved his cousin, as you can see here. The man who allegedly weighs 400 pounds went out there. He obviously got his ass beat, but he managed to keep up with Test and endure the pain. He brought the fight himself. Hardcore then got involved, and he accidentally blasted Test to give Crash the victory and the title. All of a sudden, he's now on Crash's side. Why? Because he wants a title shot. As Hardcore champion, seeing as he's winning title matches left and right, Crash began calling himself the greatest hardcore champion ever, and to prove it, he's going to defend the title 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It didn't matter what was going on. He was forced to defend the title, basically. Later that night, the Mean Street Posse set their sights on the gold. As Crash was preparing to exit the arena parking lot, they pounced. Unfortunately, their egos got the best of them, and Crash ran the hell out of there. Over the next couple of weeks, the trio continued to stalk Crash. They assaulted him at a hotel. Crash was in his damn pajamas, as you can see here. They stalked him at a laundromat at the airport, and this time, though, P. Gas actually won the title, but his title reign lasted for about 9 seconds because Crash, from out of nowhere, whacked him with the scale to recapture the title. And whenever it wasn't the posse that went after the title, Crash had to deal with the likes of the headbangers. Like, he was just having fun, as you can see here. He's vibing, and then there's someone who's preying on him. This 24/7 rule brought us to some unusual, obscure locations, and sure, sometimes he loses that title, but he always reclaims it. Until WrestleMania. Crash had to deal with 12 other men during the Hardcore Battle Royal. Crash did lose his title during the match. He lost it to the likes of Pete Gas, Taz, Funaki, those guys. Near the end, Crash recaptured the title, but then Taz locked him in the Taz mission with 20 seconds left. All of a sudden, with 5 seconds left, Hardcore Holly with a candy jar blasts both men with it. 1, 2, 3? That is one of the most awkward referee counts I've ever seen. From what I can gather, Crash was supposed to keep the title, but lose only after the time expires, meaning he retains the title. So basically, Hardcore would have had him pinned after the time expired, meaning he doesn't win the title. It wasn't as confusing as this promo, though.
I will break your ass in half, you little shithead.
The next night, Crash reclaimed that title. He paid the APA video on them coming soon to assist in regaining the gold. The posse then ran in there to steal one, but once again, ego got in the way. From there, the 24/7 rule caused chaos. A bunch of guys won the title. Guys such as Matt Hardy, Perry Saturn, Taz, the Bulldog, and London got a wild reception. Nearly every time Crash reclaimed that title, either that same night or a couple of days later. Hell, even one of Godfather's ladies captured the gold, if only for 5 seconds. But then Crash met Gerald Briscoe. On the May 18th episode of SmackDown, Crash Holly had a bright or dark, idea of taking a nap during the damn show. Obviously, he was smart enough to know many were gunning for him, so he enlisted the APA's help. Obviously, he spoke in their language, money, and all he needed was an hour. Throughout the show, we find him snoring. APA's having fun. One of Godfather's ladies once again tried winning the title. APA shouted at her. Josie, along with Gerald Briscoe, entered the office, and he invited the duo to a little party. Briscoe was smart enough to bring in a referee. He's slowly walking in there. The commentary team were whispering, which was honestly ridiculous, and the ref counted 1, 2, 3, and honestly, this felt like a GTA mission. The ref accidentally tripped, and Crash realized what's happened. Briscoe conveniently ran to the ring and had an impromptu match with Crash. Luckily for Briscoe, Patterson provided a distraction, and, let's just skip this. Except we don't need to. Why? Because Crash whacked his ass and ran after the new champion. Briscoe managed to escape with the title at every point until the June 12th episode. He was wearing that damn thing everywhere. Didn't matter if he was in the bathroom, the title was on his waist. Unfortunately for him, he realized all things must come to an end, and it was his own buddy, Patterson, that whacked him with a trash can accidentally to give way to Crash. Now that Crash was back to being champion, it gave the WWF stars a chance to win the title, something that wasn't the case when Gerald Briscoe was champion. But that wasn't to be either, because Briscoe won it back during Crash's King of the Ring qualifying match with Hardcore. Patterson backstage celebrated along with Briscoe, and he poured some champagne in his best friend's eyes before smashing the glass bottle on his head to win the Hardcore Championship. This led to that evening gown match, and apparently it was initially going to be a bra and panties match between Trish and Lita. Well, not really. Let me explain the story. The guys in the back suggested that match before asking Vince to choose between that or the match that actually went on. Obviously, they tried to make the match that went on look bad because like 2 old guys fighting or 2 young women. And in the end, that's what Vince chose. He chose Patterson and Briscoe. The commentary were making a lot of jokes throughout the match. Crash then ran in there and stole the victory. The fans erupted and it seemed like a main event match in a way. Like, well, the moment the ref hit the 3 count, they went nuts. So now the Gerald Briscoe chapter was over. Now it was time for Steve Blackman. After trading the title for a bit with Crash, Steve Blackman embarked on a 50-day title reign. He went through any and everyone that was in his way. Hell, he even beat Chris Benoit. Not clean, though. And for some reason, though, Shane McMahon received the title shot in the August 21st episode of Raw. He tried getting the Mean Street Posse's help. They got their asses handed to them, and Shane ran the hell out of there. Then Test attacked him a couple of minutes later in order to help Shane O'Mac. The Lethal Weapon fought back, and Alberts ran in there to assist his tag partner. Despite this, he managed to one-up them and make them look like side characters. But then ENC ran in there. Shane made the most out of this opportunity, running in there and whacking Blackman to become the new Hardcore champion. Right after the match, Foley booked a rematch for SummerSlam. Shane was desperate to lose the title. ENC tried pinning him when Foley decided otherwise. So basically, he suspended the 24/7 rule until after Shane's match with Blackman in order to prevent Shane O'Mac from escaping. Now about the match itself, well, RIP to Shane. Match, not bad. It's obviously overshadowed by one moment, but for good reason. TNA tried to help Shane keep the belt. Despite the beating, Blackman bounced back by bouncing that kendo stick all over Test and Albert's bodies. Shane realized he woke up the beast and tried running. He climbed the SummerSlam set and found himself right at the top. And Blackman whacked him several times with that damn kendo stick, and he sent Shane right off the stage. He believed that wasn't enough, and he hit an elbow from the top to recapture his title. Blackman as Hardcore champion was very dominant. He always had the kendo stick or the nunchucks at his disposal. He didn't run away. Like, take this match for example. He had only 30 seconds left, and no, he didn't run around. He fought all of the guys, and sure, he got his ass kicked, but he took the beating in order to keep that belt. At one point, he even faced Edge and Christian and single-handedly beat them. It was getting W's all across the board. Many weren't clean, many were, and while Blackman's title reign wasn't filled with outright memorable moments, he was probably booked the best out of the previous guys, other than probably the Road Dogg. On the December 22nd, 2000 episode of Raw, Steve Blackman defended the Hardcore Championship against Hardcore and Raven. After Blackman Germaned Hardcore to retain his title, right out of nowhere, Raven blasts Blackman with a 2x4 to capture the title. Now, Raven's title reign wasn't exactly noteworthy. He held the title for a month, and after that, 21 title reigns happened within the span of a month, as you can see here. Most of these occurred during house shows, hence the ridiculous amount of title changes, and by No Way Out, Raven was already a 10-time champion. What I do find interesting, however, was the fact that the WWF champion The Rock and Kurt Angle challenged for the title in the main event. Big Show was the champion at the time, and nearly every single lower card star came out to claim the gold. It was pure Attitude Era chaos, and Big Show ended up retaining the gold. Heading into WrestleMania, Raven found a way to reclaim the gold from the Big Show, but he found himself in a hardcore match against the Giant and Kane, and their match at WrestleMania, well, it's like the highlights of the Hardcore Championship. It's one of the very best matches to come from the title's history. They went through doors, walls, windows. It was wild, and to top it all off, Kane kicked Big Show, who had Raven in press slam position, off the stage before hitting a leg drop to win his very first Hardcore Championship. Kane as champion wasn't the dominant champion that everyone probably expected him to be. He was busy with the two-man power trip, and so Rhino took advantage. Rhino as champion was dishing out these brutal matches, especially the match against Raven at Backlash. The two former ECW stars just went out there and destroyed one another with weapons. That drop toe hold in itself was ridiculous, and the damn shopping cart, man, it was crazy stuff. Rhino was resilient, and he bounced back with a mean-looking gore, and every time he hit that thing, Paul Heyman was going crazy, like, gore! Every time. Rhino's champion, he was pretty cool, he was pretty entertaining. So yeah, this hardcore match, the Backlash one, it's one of the top 5 hardcore title matches in WWE for sure. Once again though, every time someone gets a run with the title, it has to end with some shenanigans. They regain it again, and then someone takes it off of them for good. That's exactly what happened. Rhino lost the title to the Big Show, who lost it to Chris Jericho. Rhino then gored the ever-living hell out of Chris Jericho to reclaim the title, then Test won it a couple of weeks later. Rhino won it back, and the moment he won it, he didn't get any time to relish the moment because Mike Awesome, from right out of nowhere, blasts Rhino with a 2x4 to win the title. And the invasion was on. During the invasion, the title became somewhat prestigious in a way. Keyword: the amount of times it changed hands wasn't like a hot potato or anything like that. It was pretty damn valuable. RVD and Jeff Hardy had these sublime matches, can't stress it enough. Their invasion match was really fun. Jeff and RVD couldn't really do any wrong out there. RVD won the title at Invasion, Jeff reclaimed it 3 weeks later, only to lose it in an awesome ladder match at SummerSlam. Whenever the title was defended, it felt like a big deal. As for RVD, he became like the biggest star holding that title. Guys like Chris Jericho, Big Show, The Rock, they all challenged for the gold and they all failed to claim it. Van Dam held the title well after the invasion, and he lost the title to The Undertaker. All of a sudden, now everyone's scared to take advantage of the 24/7 rule. He was this badass no one even dared to disrespect, and the guy that ended his title reign, well, here it is. On the February 7, 2002 episode of SmackDown, The Undertaker was ready to teach this little rookie, Maven, a lesson. And Maven had just eliminated Taker from the Rumble, he got his ass beat, and now he wanted to challenge Big Evil to a hardcore title match. As expected, Maven received loads of punishment. He was busted open and his trainer, Al Snow, couldn't save him. There was some glimmer of hope, however, that maybe, just maybe, he'd steal the win, but Taker brought everyone back to earth. And just when the match was all but over, The Rock from out of nowhere hits a rock bottom. Al Snow's riling Maven and the fans, and he crawls up to Taker. 1, 2, 3, yes. Taker was like, I lost. Rock had this look on his face like, you deserve it. And Maven was champion. The tough enough rookie was a WWF champion. Heading into WrestleMania X8, it was hot potato once again. Goldust, Maven, Al Snow, they all held the gold. My favorite instance of hot potato from the title's history had to be from WrestleMania 18. First of all, Goldust and Maven went at it in a scheduled match. All of a sudden, Spike runs in there and steals the title from Maven. Crash from out of nowhere runs and chases Spike, and Goldust and Maven follow along. Backstage, Crash fails to win the gold. Al Snow, with a damn referee riding in a golf cart, crashes into a bunch of boxes. Hurricane respawns from out of nowhere and steals the title from Spike. Throughout the night, Hurricane's trying to dodge potential opponents. He's enjoying himself from a distance, and the person that took the title away was right beside him. Mighty Molly with a damn frying pan. Later on, she's looking a little bit paranoid when someone shoves the door right into her face. It's then revealed to be the smiling Christian who had just gotten his ass beat by Diamond Dallas Page. So he's a champion walking away from WrestleMania 18. He puts his luggage in the trunk of a taxi, and life is finally good for Christian. Just as he's entering the cab, freaking Maven from out of nowhere rolls him up to win back his championship. And to add insult to injury, he took the poor man's cab. Following WrestleMania, well, the title went through so many hands that I lost track. House shows, Raw, everywhere the title was changing. Guys show up on televised events, and all of a sudden they're 15-time champions. Crash, Raven, and Steven Richards became 20-time champions. Booker T, Trish Stratus, Terry Runnels, and Jazz won the title for the first time. Shawn Stasiak was a freaking 15-time champion, yet he never showed up with the title intact on TV. Tommy Dreamer won the title 14 times. Bradshaw had a little run where he changed the title's design. And to give you an idea of how volatile the hardcore title scene was, look at this stuff. Like, all of a sudden, you blink, you miss. This guy's a 20-time champion, and I don't know where the hell he won these titles. The title's run was starting to come to an end. On the August 26, 2002 episode of Raw, The Hardcore title was defended for the final time. Coincidentally, it was contested between two former ECW stars. RVD defended the Intercontinental Championship, and Tommy Dreamer defended the Hardcore Championship. It was a title unification match. Van Dam won that match, and that is it for the Hardcore title in WWE. It made 2 more appearances, but it wasn't defended. The title appeared on the June 23rd, 2003 episode of Raw on Mick Foley Appreciation Night, and on the May 22nd, 2006 episode of Raw, when Mick Foley claimed that Edge is the most hardcore star in WWE. That's the Hardcore title. Overall, this title's run, it wasn't exactly the most prestigious title, but it gave guys an opportunity. Like Crash, he became one of the hottest things in the WWF from March all the way up to July of 2000. Steve Blackman had this dominant run. Raven, well, it was the only good thing to come out of his run. Rhino was awesome with the title. RVD and Jeff Hardy, that was probably the best time period for the title, other than the beginning of it. Yeah, overall, the title, like I said, it wasn't the most prestigious gold, but it gave guys opportunity to show what they could do. So yeah, the title, it changed hands almost 300 times, and the last 200 title changes occurred within 7 months. That's how ridiculous the title was. But yes, after the Hardcore title, guys didn't get chances like they used to anymore, so yeah. What did you guys think of the Hardcore title? Please comment down below. And that's your first video. Make sure you hit a running bulldog on the like button, and perhaps the 5-star frog splash on the subscribe button. Peace, I'm out.